look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big of the United States. So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill.
When we're talking about numbers, Jewish people, we are 15 million around these days. There's close to 2 billion Muslims. And the question is, how are we ever going to be able to learn how to coexist? And is there a possibility that we could resolve our differences peacefully without war, death, carnage, pain, and suffering as we have been seeing? So listen to this discussion, which I think you may find it very enlightening and truly inspiring, trying to see if there's any way that this all can be resolved. Kindly subscribe to the channel to help us continue on spreading a little bit of light, pushing away a lot of darkness.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace to you all. My name is Saba Ahmed. I'm a law student at American University. I am here to ask you a simple question. I know that we portray Islam and all Muslims as bad, but there's 1.8 billion Muslim followers of Islam. We have 8 million plus Muslim Americans in this country, and I don't see them represented here. But my question is, how can we fight an ideological war with weapons? How can we ever end this war? The jihadist ideology that you talk about, it's an ideology. How can you ever win this thing if you don't address it ideologically?
Great question. I am so glad you're here, and I am so glad you brought that up because it gives us an opportunity to answer. What I find so amazing is since the beginning of this panel, which we are here about Benghazi attack against our people, not one person mentioned Muslims. We are here against Islam, or we're launching war against Muslims. We are here to discuss how 4 Americans died and what our government is doing. We were not here to bash Muslims. You were the one who brought up the issue about most Muslims, not us. And since you brought it up, allow me to elaborate with my answer. There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25%, according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big of the United States. So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful. Yet the Nazis drove the agenda. And as a result, 60 million people died. Almost 14 million in concentration camps. 6 million were Jews. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Russia, most Russians were peaceful as well. Yet the Russians were able to kill 20 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well. Yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Japan prior to World War II, most Japanese were peaceful as well. Yet Japan was able to butcher its way across Southeast Asia, killing 12 million people, mostly killed with bayonets and shovels. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroy the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. So for all our powers of reasons and us talking about moderate and peaceful Muslims, I'm glad you're here. But where are the others speaking out? And since you are the only Muslim representative, applause to until the end. And since you're the only Muslim representative in here, you took the limelight instead of speaking about why our government, and I assume, are you an American? You're an American citizen. So as an American citizen, you sat in this room and instead of standing up and saying a question or asking something about our 4 Americans that died and what our government is doing to correct the problem, you stood there to make a point about peaceful, moderate Muslims. I wish you brought 10 with you to question about how we can hold our government responsible. It is time we take political correctness and throw it in the garbage where it belongs and start calling it fair.
And there will be refreshments afterward. Did you want to respond to the?
I think Radicalism. I can't follow that.
You had a follow-up that you'd. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Comment. Thank you for your responses. And I do really hope that other Muslims will start showing up at these conservative forums. But, as a peaceful American Muslim, I would like to think that I'm not that irrelevant. I'm just as much an American, and I'm very deeply saddened about the lives that were lost in Libya. And I hope that we will find justice for their families. But I don't think that this war can ever be won by just the military. You have to you have to bring Muslims to the table to address this.
I think
So
everyone
thank you.
agrees that it can't be won
Everybody
just
agrees
militarily, and I think that everyone has said that. You tell me who the head of the Muslim peace movement is?
I guess it's me right now, so thank you.
And this is indeed what we're dealing with. When we think about it in numbers, the world doesn't realize how Islam became the fastest growing religion within its time. The Jewish nation is always around 15 million. We are 15 million, the same amount as we were just prior to the Holocaust. So we're just basically just recovering in numbers-wise, population-wise after the Holocaust. But we're talking about almost 2 billion Muslims. And as you heard, when you talk about just 15% of them who are radicalized, who are jihadists, you're talking about 300 million. How does that feel? Knowing there are 300 million people who believe that we should no longer be. Not just me as a Jew, and not just Israel as Israel, but all Westerners. We have 300 million people on this planet today, right now, who want to do everything possible to eradicate the Western society. So we're living in times where there's an axis of evil and good. It has never been delineated more than this. We're dealing with a death cult who's all about death, or we're dealing with a nation and the Western society who's obsessed with life. And it's the dichotomy of both life and death right in front of our eyes. And in the Bible, God said, look, I'm giving to you, in Deuteronomy, life and death. And it's our choice to decide what side of history do we want to be. So by understanding the ideological issues with the Muslims and realizing the numbers that we're dealing with, it's huge. It's not a simple task. And we as the Westerners have to be able to be strong, be bold, and be proud of who we are, and to prevent them from continuing on their jihad at any cost, at any means. May God protect us, and may God bless us. God bless you. God loves you.